My post, with what Ivo's teaching us this week on YouTube, I have to have a double look at everything I pass on Facebook. I just deleted a post that said that the biggest coward is a man who triggers a woman's love with no intention of loving her. He's not a coward. He is perfect, just like everyone else. We're all perfect in God's eyes. What he is a teacher. He is teaching her to navigate 3D and to ascend out of it. He is teaching her wisdom. The person who condemns him isn't willing to learn. There are two ways of seeing life, through the eyes of condemnation, hate and fear, negative, or through the eyes of love, positive. When you see all with eyes of love, you raise your own frequency and begin to understand what life really is, everyone else teaching you to raise your vibration and ascend. Problems aren't problems, they're opportunities. The trick is, we have to deal with 3D, 4D, and 5D people all in the same lifetime, so we have a lot to learn about setting boundaries but being unconditionally loving at the same time, understanding enough of dysfunctional people that we don't fall in with them, but loving them from a distance and appreciating the lessons they have to give us in wisdom, love, and power. Your whole world was built on the misperceptions of all those who came before you, or in other words, you, because you are your own ancestors. Me, I'm not. Ivo, your ancestor is Anara, the Atlantean, and you are part of her bloodline now, so in effect this does apply to you. But for the Earthling or the starseed who has been trapped here incarnating over and over, this particularly applies. You are your own ancestor. That is why your native peoples honor their ancestry. Me, yeah, I'm still good looking too. LMAO. I just imagine Illuminati henchmen sitting there plotting their next attack on our psyches around a table and congratulating themselves a couple decades later when they're able to get people to accept the change they've been trying to implement for hundreds of years without a second thought. Oh yeah, and I saw that good news. Trump fired Henry Kissinger, speaking of Illuminati henchmen who never seem to go away. That guy's been around since I was a kid. How old is he anyway? 260? And Madeleine Albright? She's gone too. She must be 360 because she was already older when I was young. Ivo, your world has been subjected to constant changes, micro changes, macro changes, and more, throughout the last few centuries particularly, to put their Agenda 2130 into place. We discuss cancer in an upcoming video. The belief in the idea of sickness is common only to humans on Earth. We ETS realize we cannot get sick because we are a balanced infrastructure. Our bodies are balanced and our minds are at peace, therefore, we do not manifest illness. You do. You believe it and you continue to believe the cure for this is to go to the doctors and get medical help, often in the form of drugs. Why do you think that to cure your body you need outside intervention? Because many years ago, this propaganda was sold to you as an outstanding invention, as progress. Do you not see that so many of the things in your society are packaged as innovative, cutting edge and progressive? If they told you the truth of what they truly were, a dependency on outside forces who do not have your best interests at heart to help to heal your body, and to devise a plan that will ultimately culminate in their having complete control over your bodies and minds, you would not fall for their plans. However, because you are manipulated into believing they are in your best interests, your ancestors fall for it. And now you are a later generation, born into a world that believes this is for their own good. Such as dentistry. A mouthful of amalgam fillings later and you realize your health is compromised by this so-called progress. Now as you accelerate in frequency, as you ascend, many are experiencing spontaneous healings or using energy to heal others. You understand that little or no outside influence is actually necessary to heal you. When you understand that you are all energy, you realize that changing the nature of your body to facilitate healing, is just a matter of changing your energy. It is just that your ancestors bought into this idea so many moons ago. And you were taught this as a child when you were being socialized, that this was the norm. Everything you believe your society to be was propaganda at one point, foisted upon you as a solution to a problem that was created by the deep state. Such as sickness. They have used your minds over and over again, from one life to the next. Your mind is conditioned to a particular type of lifestyle, and when you reincarnate again, you are subjected to more. They use the laws of the universe to enslave you to repeating dysfunctional lives. This is sadistic. Your family, for example, Sheran, is particularly targeted because they are of a higher light quotient. Yes, I know, hard to believe. You think they are all nuts. This is because you assign blame. You must see them as dealing with a lot of matrix manipulation to keep them down. They are trying to thrive with what little sanity they are left with. Your controllers know that universal law demands that all be rebalanced. If you have raped someone in one lifetime, you will be raped in the next in order to rebalance that energy. They know this, and they keep you in loops where you cannot rebalance the energy. The energy cannot be rebalanced, because if it were, you would not be in this low frequency, you would be ascending. Their demonic minions do a good job of keeping frequencies so low that many will descend to unspeakable acts of depravity, and of assuring many except for the most dedicated cannot ascend. Me, Ivo, you're so interesting. I think I love you. LOL. Ivo, I see I am gaining favor over YouTube videos these last few days. Me, I realize I have to stop watching them if I want to relieve myself of the blame game, and stop seeing myself and others as imperfect. I have to stop exposing myself to people who do these things. I realize that by seeing others as imperfect, I'm not helping them to raise their frequency nor the frequency of the collective. Ivo, if your people were to do so, the Anons would expose the news of deep state tactics in a different style and would not attack them. However, this is what we have to work with. Me, can we go through more examples of seeing people as perfect? I need the practice. Ivo, of course. Me, so my neighbor next door, the shag master. Sounds like a vacuum cleaner. Well, anyway, what lesson is he teaching me? And vice versa. Ivo, you are teaching him that people can be nice. He believes all people should die because they are all awful. He is acting from his wounds. You are nice to him, despite the fact that he is treating you in a way you do not appreciate. So you spoke to him about this and set the boundary that you do not want him coming over when he is drinking because you do not like the way he treats you. He is teaching you self-mastery, wisdom, and that love can continue even when violations have occurred, so forgiveness. You do like him. Gruff as he is, you enjoy his company. Me, I do. Let's come up with some other examples. These ones are getting stale. Ivo, I doubt that. All people show you what your beliefs are. Is this not wonderful? They show you what it is you believe and which beliefs work for you and which do not. This is the perfection of life. You had the job in the factory for 12 years in your 20s and you were intimidated by these men who harassed you. This was before the sexual harassment laws came in. They did everything they could to intimidate you. Me, and it worked. Ivo, there were some you were very assertive with, my love. You were growing in power, but you had such a lot of work to do. You punched a few of them, turned some into their bosses, and some you let get away with it. Eventually you learned that when you allowed this, that it was you would suffer a loss of self-respect. So you studied assertiveness. You got better at it. Fortunately for you, your next employment you were not harassed like this again. You also stopped dating at 30 for the most part. Me, yup. Ivo, but you attract predatory types, and this is because you had to learn how to deal with their level of intimidation. The reason for this is because you work with the light, and specifically because you work so closely with Ashtar, you are very hated by the predators who run your planet. Me, I know. I love it. Ivo, and you are not intimidated by them or any of their attempts to kill you. Me, nope. Ivo, these men taught you this. They taught you self-empowerment. They taught you wisdom. They taught you how to love yourself first. When you went to the 12 steps at 40, particularly Coda, you solidified your knowledge. You are teaching others and they are teaching you. Always. It is a question of either being angry and bitter or looking for the lesson. What spiritual lesson am I learning from this? It is important to call it a spiritual lesson, otherwise you will perhaps assign a physical solution to it. You seem to differentiate, so therefore, you must delineate. You had a friend earlier on, who complained constantly. Me, yes. Ivo, a beautiful woman but one who had also grown up in unfortunate circumstances, whose soul chose to learn in this lifetime. You must all understand that Earth is a particularly good school for spiritual growth because it is as difficult a place as it is. She was miserable and complained constantly. And you told her to stop it? Me, I did. Ivo, so you learned to tell people to stop. You learned to set boundaries. This is wisdom and self-empowerment. You learned to listen to your emotions which were telling you you could not take her nagging any longer. Me, lol, yeah, she was a nag too. Ivo, yes, what are the people of Earth learning as a collective now with lockdowns and mask wearing? They will all know eventually they have been deceived. Being able to see through deception requires wisdom. This is a form of empowerment, but a special form. Your world is not very wise and for that reason they are easily tricked. So wisdom is the first thing that must be learned. Self-empowerment will be on the roster afterwards as people will move beyond the power over others system. They will start seeking self-empowerment in greater numbers. Then love of themselves as one entire species instead of the separation that has been perpetrated upon them. You see this now with the BLM riots, and people are realizing they are all brothers united against a common enemy. The three flames of God which reside in your hearts are growing larger for your world. For some they are very large and for others still small, but the flames are being fed by current circumstances. Yes, El Moria delineated love for others without wisdom, which you see being enacted now by people who wear masks to keep others from getting sick, when rebreathing their own bacteria and then taking an inoculation compliments of Bill Gates they think will increase their health. Wisdom is what is needed on Earth now. Wisdom. It is lacking. Wisdom looks different in different dimensions. Power looks different in different dimensions. But love is always love. Power in the third dimension is setting boundaries and asserting one's will according to one's beliefs. In the fourth dimension, limiting beliefs are dropped to allow for greater consciousness, and this is your power now. While still asserting your rights and setting boundaries. In the fifth dimension, consciousness expands, wisdom increases and love is expressed more freely. This is the growth of an earthling. It is perfect. Everything is perfect because it is all intended to create growth and learning. Me, thank you Ivo.